What's good? How y'all doing this afternoon? Welcome back to the Forever I Love Atlanta Sports Podcast, the Don's favorite. It's your boy the Don. What's good, y'all? Here with Broadway Sports on Mike Herndon. How you doing, man?
I'm doing good, doing good. Glad to be joining you guys.
Man, I'm glad you can make it, man. Hey, if y'all new to the channel, y'all already know what to do. Hit that subscribe button, hit that like button, share this content out with Atlanta Sports Fanatics, and hit us up in the comment section. As always, come holler at your hometown sports podcast. We got a few people already in the chat. Oh yeah, the Atlanta kid. Yeah, my bad, man. I know, guys. If I post something and I say I'm going on at a certain time, just plan on I'm probably gonna go on 30 minutes earlier than normal because I need to make sure when you're early on time, you on time, you already know what happens. So, so I missed a lot of your shows recently, but I made a lot of late night kings. I realized it's cool, man. I know you in school, man. It's cool. Just watch them at a later time, and then hit me up and hit us up in the comment section, and we can chat through there. Or I know I'm following you on Instagram, on Facebook or Twitter, so we can talk through there too. What's good, Devontae? What's good, ATM? Roll Statson in the building. What's good, man? Yeah, man, we on the road to 3K right now, so appreciate y'all. The last video I did is like soaring. I think last time I checked, is over 400 views. For the last draft talk I did with Buffalo Fanatics. So hopefully we can get this video up to 500 views as well. So appreciate y'all. Thank y'all so much. All right, so let's go ahead and get down to business. Draft talk. So, what are the Titans doing right now? What are the talks for y'all draft? Like y'all pretty much came off a playoff run, second playoff run, back to back, and I know y'all looking forward to trying to secure that AFC South title once again. So tell me about that.
Yeah, so the Titans are kind of in an interesting spot now. They had a horrible defense last year. Like the offense, was top 5 in the league. It put up points. They were consistent. Obviously, that led to Arthur Smith heading down to join you guys. So the offense was the strength, but the defense really held them back. Defense was bottom 5 in the league all year. Worst third down defense in the history of the NFL statistically. So they've got to fix that, right? Like that's been the key to the offseason really is fix the defense, keep the offense rolling. And they've obviously already started to do that. They got Bud Dupree on board. They got Danico Autry. They've added Janoris Jenkins. So they're kind of remaking that defense at this point. And then on offense, they lost Corey Davis and Jonnu Smith. So, two pretty key contributors on the offensive side of the ball. They're not obviously Tannehill, Henry, and A.J. Brown are the engine that makes that offense go. But Davis and Jonnu Smith were kind of the probably second and third targets in the passing game behind A.J. Brown. So they've got to look to replace that. They haven't really done a whole lot of that yet. They got Josh Reynolds, who I think can be a nice number 3 kind of role player in the offense. But you got to go get a wide receiver. You probably got to get a tight end, and then keep adding to the defense. So cornerback is probably their biggest need on that side of the ball right now.
All right. So you said your defense was struggling, which is true. I know when Dean Pease left, y'all got a new defense coordinator, but I feel like Vrabel was kind of calling that defense last year to a certain extent. Do you think y'all missed Dean Pease calling the defense? Because I know 2019 defense was better than 2020s.
Yeah, no, absolutely. They were definitely better in 19 than they were in 20. And obviously the new quote unquote defensive coordinator last year, we believe Shane Bowen, the outside linebackers coach, was calling the defense most of the time. Now, Vrabel obviously had a huge input in how the defense operated, maybe even some of the time making calls during the game. So he definitely had a bigger role, but I kind of feel like he and Bowen both were kind of stretched too thin. They've done some stuff to kind of fix that. They actually formally promoted Bowen to defensive coordinator this offseason And that pissed a lot of Titans fans off, frankly, because the defense was terrible. The defense was a huge problem, and it did take a step back after losing Dean Pease. But they also went out just yesterday and added Jim Schwartz, the Eagles defensive coordinator, as a senior defensive assistant. So I think they've got some guys on staff now. They went and hired an outside linebackers coach to kind of take that off of Bowen's plate. So they've got some guys I think that can help Bowen, and you would hope in year 2 in that role he'd start to kind of take some steps forward. And honestly, when Pease was with the Titans, and Dean Pease mentioned this himself during a podcast, I think this past offseason, that Vrabel didn't spend a ton of time with the defense. It was kind of Dean Pease' show on that side of the ball, and Vrabel spent a lot of time with the offense, working with, because he had first-time play callers in Matt LaFleur and Arthur Smith in 2018 and 2019. So he had a lot on his plate as far as trying to get that offense going. And so he kind of let Dean Pease do his thing. I think we'll probably get back to that a little bit, because now obviously you got Todd Downing as offensive coordinator. Vrabel probably needs to pay a little bit more attention on the offensive side of the ball than he did last year when Art Smith really had that thing rolling. So it's going to be interesting to see how all the personalities in that room kind of shake itself out on the defensive side of the ball. But yeah, Pease was definitely a tough loss for them last season. And, they also had personnel issues, right? Adoree Jackson was hurt all year. They were down to basically probably what their 4th and 5th corners playing, as cornerback 2 and 3 across from Malcolm Butler for most of last season. They had nobody across from Harold Landry as far as the pass rusher goes. I mean, Clowney got hurt pretty early on. Vic Beasley never did anything. So it was like practice squad guys basically starting at outside linebacker. So there's some personnel issues for sure. I think coaching also. So yeah, it was a big mixed bag that kind of contributed to them being horrible on defense last year.
All right. So you mentioned Dean Pease was pretty much calling the defense for the most part when he was there in 2019. The reason why I asked that because he's now our defensive coordinator. And we'll get to Arthur Smith in a little bit, but what do you expect Pease to bring to the table for the Falcons?
It'll be interesting to see kind of what he does schematically. He's always been kind of a 3-4 guy for most of his career. And I know you guys are coming from that, Dan Quinn, 4-man front kind of defense. So it'll be a little bit of adjustment personnel wise, I think, for him. But he's what he does really well. He's a good game plan kind of coach. You saw it in the playoffs in 2019 when the Titans, shut down Brady in the wild card round. And then the very next week in a very, very different style offense, took out Lamar Jackson and shut him down and frustrated him, I think they had 7 turnovers in that game if you count the 4th down stop. So that ability to kind of game plan for specific opponents and target, weaknesses is something that's a strength of his. And he's also really good, I think, at creatively generating pressure. So even if you don't have big time pass rusher guys, he's really good at timing up blitzes, disguising things, and getting free rushers. Because the Titans haven't had a premier pass rusher since Brian Orakpo and Derek Morgan were really in their prime, which has been 5 or 6 years ago now. So when he was here, it was all schemed up. It was Logan Ryan coming on blitzes, Jayon Brown coming from blitzes from the linebacker spot. All kinds of guys contributing to the pass rush, not just one dominant edge rusher or anything like that.
Yeah, and it's kind of interesting because he retired after that 19 season, and now he came out of retirement to coach the Falcons, which is going to bring me to a question I'm going to ask later on. Most people are not going to come out of retirement for nonsense. All right, pretty much what I'm trying to say is ain't nobody going to come out of retirement for a rebuild. A lot of Falcons fans here thinking that we're rebuilding, we're going to draft another quarterback to replace Matt Ryan. Just nonsense. All right. And here we are with Arthur Smith as a head coach. All right. Came from Tennessee. We know what he did in Tennessee with Derrick Henry. Pretty much resurrected Ryan Tannehill's career.
Yeah.
A.J. Brown became, I say arguably a top 10 receiver in the league now. Just with him just being there for 2 years. Arthur Smith. Like he been there since 2011, but him taking the reins of calling and plays for 2 years. Look what he did for you guys, and
Yeah.
that pretty much helped him get the head coaching job. So, got that even more important detail. All right. So, my thing is Arthur Smith coming to Atlanta. What do you think? What do you think he's going to do with the quarterback situation here in Atlanta?
To me, I think Matt Ryan fits a lot of the stuff that Arthur Smith wants to do. I mean, you kind of saw him excel in that Shanahan system when Shanahan was the coordinator in Atlanta. Obviously, Art Smith's offense is going to be pretty similar stylistically to what Shanahan ran there. I mean, it's going to be a lot of wide zone, a lot of inside zone, and then play action boot off of that. Lots of crossers, stuff like that. So he wants to get his playmakers the ball in space and let them make plays. That's why A.J. Brown really excelled. That's why Corey Davis kind of had his breakout year this past season. And he was the first coordinator. I mean, when Matt LaFleur was here in 2018, we all kind of thought Derrick Henry had the potential to be the guy, right? Like that we'd seen it in flashes even when they had DeMarco Murray as the starter. And LaFleur never committed to Henry until very, very late in the season. Arthur Smith came in and committed to Henry from day one, and you saw the explosion in his performance basically ever since Arthur Smith took over. So I think he's a smart coach. I think he's a guy that understands finding ways to get your best players the ball. It sounds super simple and like almost stupid, but a lot of coaches make it more complicated than it needs to be. And at the end of the day, it's about getting your best players the football and letting them go make plays. And that's what he did a really good job of here in Tennessee.
And that right there hit the nail on the head. For people who's watching this right now, watching this wrong, because what I've seen him do for Derrick Henry, because Derrick Henry wasn't really like before Smith. He was a good running back, but you really didn't see the best out of him because the coaching there just didn't want to commit to the run or just get him the meaningful reps that he needs. So now he's coming to Atlanta. We're not bringing the Derrick Henry with us. We're not bringing A.J. Brown. We're not bringing Ryan Tannehill. And I made this comment to my chat the other day. Like, you look at, and I'm looking at 2019, 2020 Titans, 2019, 2020 Falcons. You look at it on paper. You look at the offense of the Titans. You look at the offense of the Falcons. Who looks better roster-wise?
Yeah.
It's the Falcons.
Easy, yeah.
But if you look at the stats and everything, you can tell the Titans were outperforming the Falcons in so many categories on offense because of the coaching.
Yeah.
So, but going back to the quarterback situation in Atlanta, and I'm just going to ask you this question. Do you think the Falcons should move on from Matt Ryan?
I don't personally. I still think he can play. I don't think he's been particularly put in great situations these past few years. I mean, it's not that long ago he was playing at an MVP level, and I don't think if you look at him play, it's not like his physical tools have diminished that much, right? And I think if you put him back in a system that plays to his strengths, I think you could see him. I mean, he's still 36 years old, something like that. I mean,
he'll be 36 next month.
Yeah. So I mean, he's still got, that's not that old by quarterback standards anymore. I mean, we just saw Aaron Rodgers win a MVP again, and again a very similar system coming from a former Titans offensive coordinator. So I don't think Matt Ryan is a guy that you have to move on from right now. I mean, you could see him getting 2, 3, 4 more years of pretty good play out of Matt Ryan, and if you can get that, you don't want to press the reset button at quarterback. I mean, the Titans have been through it so many times in the past decade.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, they kind of stumbled into Ryan Tannehill, and thank goodness they did, because it was a bleak decade of Jake Locker, Vince Young, Marcus Mariota. I mean, it just was top 10 pick after top 10 pick busting. So just because the guys pick Trey Lance, Justin Fields, any of these guys that might be there at 4 for you guys. Just because they are a good prospect doesn't mean, Vince Young was an unbelievable prospect coming out. Like the show he put on those last 2 years at Texas, and I'm a Texas guy, so I watched a lot of Vince Young. I was over the moon when the Titans got him. I was like, man, this guy's gonna kill it here.
Yeah, folks thought he was gonna be better than McNair, and I'm like, please.
Yeah, it is not. There's just no guarantees. Like, if you've got a guy that can perform, at a high in top 10-ish level at the quarterback position, I think you ride that as long as you possibly can. Don't go and reset it just for the sake of resetting it.
Facts, and I agree with that. Somebody said today that there were since 2010, there was 131 quarterbacks drafted. Okay, 11 out of that number have been pretty much good. Now you break that down to percentage wise, that's like between 6 and 7% of quarterbacks. That's not good, especially if you're not picking number 1 overall. Then you after that first overall pick, you pick that first best quarterback. You picking pretty much the second best, third best, fourth best, whatever. Why would you want to pick the fourth best per player at that position in the first round?
Right. And like not every not every draft has 4 quarterbacks in it. You go back and look at some of the previous quarterback classes, usually there's like maybe 2 or 3 guys in that class that end up being good starters. I mean, the 2017 class where you had Mahomes and Watson, that's probably the best quarterback class we've had in a while.
And they weren't even the first quarterbacks taken. It was Mitch Trubisky was taking the first quarterback off the board.
Yeah, exactly. So, I mean, yeah, there's no guarantee that the 4th guy coming off the board in this year's class is going to be, even a starting level quarterback. I mean, much less a top, half of the league guy. So, yeah, I think it's just, I do understand the idea that, the Falcons probably aren't going to be picking top 5 again anytime soon. But we've seen teams show and I keep going back to the Chiefs, the Texans aren't a terribly good example because they ruined it, but they didn't bottom out and they still were able to go and get Deshaun Watson. The Chiefs didn't bottom out and they still were able to go get Patrick Mahomes. So I think even if you're drafting in the 20s, if you're really committed to like a quarterback prospect, you can trade up and go get the guy, right? So I think that's the approach that I would take rather than I would go get weapons and try to make Matt Ryan the end of his career here another window for you guys. I mean, because you still got Julio Jones playing a high level. Calvin Ridley is a fantastic number 2 receiver, maybe the best number 2 receiver in the league. You've got plenty of weapons there around him already.
Just the defense. We ain't got no defense.
Right. So, I mean, you got to fix the defense, and you got to, if you could get like a Kyle Pitts, I think Kyle Pitts would be fantastic just to see him. The matchups you could create with him, Julio Jones, and Calvin Ridley would be unbelievable to watch.
You still got Hayden Hurst. You still got Hayden Hurst too.
True.
On the other side, so yeah.
And Arthur Smith loves he's a tight ends coach, right? Like he's been a tight ends coach for most of his time in the NFL. He loved running 12 personnel sets in Tennessee. They got a lot of use out of Jonnu Smith, and they also were able to develop Anthony Ferkser into a good, kind of third down tight end.
Delaney Walker. Delaney Walker was good.
Delaney Walker was big for them. So he's been able to use multiple tight ends, and he likes that kind of personnel package, especially because it helps him in the run game too. So if you can get a tight end that can be a difference maker, I think that's a win too.
All right. So let's play the guessing game. All right. Like I said, I've been watching some Tennessee Titans tape because we got Arthur Smith now, so I need to see what type of offense we're going to run here in Atlanta. So I don't know if you've been watching the Falcons or been figuring out what we've been doing around here the past few years. But if you was the Falcons general manager, you were Terry Fortner, all right, what would you do if we were sitting at the 4th overall pick? Would you stay there or would you trade back? Who would you pick at 4? If you trade back in the draft, who would you pick?
If you stick and pick at 4, I think it's got to be Pitts. I think Pitts is the best non-quarterback in the draft. You could argue really, like, if you really get down to it, I think Pitts as a tight end is a better prospect than Trevor Lawrence as a quarterback. Obviously, quarterbacks have the crazy value and everything that, so he's obviously going to go first. But Pitts is an unbelievable prospect to me. So if you stick and pick, I think it's got to be Pitts. Now, I would love, if I was you guys, to find a team, maybe the Broncos at 9 or something like that are desperate to come up and get a quarterback, get, either Trey Lance or Justin Fields or Mac Jones, depending on if, the 49ers are lying to us out there. But if you've got, someone in that top 10 range that's desperate to come up and you can get a couple picks and move back and still, I mean, you mentioned you need to fix the defense. Like a guy like J.C. Horn or Patrick Surtain, like the top cornerbacks in the class, I think those guys are super elite prospects. I'm not as crazy about like the pass rush class this year, so I probably wouldn't touch any of those guys. But you could also look at a guy like Micah Parsons from Penn State, linebacker, kind of put a guy in the middle of your defense that can maybe have like a Devin White effect in there, like the Bucks did in the division there. So yeah, I think trade back is probably the best case scenario, and who knows, depending on where other teams go, maybe Pitts falls in your lap at 9, who knows. But I think that's probably your best case scenario there.
All right, cool. I like I said, if we stay at 4 picks or Penny Sewell, our offensive line is still kind of not complete yet, and Sewell is like one of the best tackles to come out of the draft in a long time. So you can't go wrong with either or,
Sure.
But if we do trade back, like with the Broncos, Parsons would probably be a good pick, or J.C. Horn, be fine. But Falcons, we gotta fix this pass rush, man. Like I understand the pass rush class not looking good, but we gotta figure it out. Especially if we trade back and we get more picks in the second or third round, you can double down on some pass rushers, that can come in and you can utilize them. So
yeah, exactly. And there's guys in the class. I think that like late first to second round range for pass rushers is going to be kind of the sweet spot in this draft, because there's not a Myles Garrett in this class, right? There's no super dominant, clear cut number one guy that's going to come in and be a difference maker from day one. So I think if you move back, and you're able to pick up maybe an extra second round pick or something, you could use a couple picks in that second round, maybe on some pass rushers and really, like you said, kind of double down there and get, hey, a better chance. Like that's another lottery pick, right? Or another lottery ticket at the pass rush spot. So a guy like Joseph Osai, who may be there in the second round, who's got all the physical tools, but maybe is, needs a little bit of polish.
Zayvon Collins is another guy.
Yeah. I like the pass rush class. I just don't. There's no sure things, right? There's all of these guys have some sort of red flag with them, whether it's production or just like body type. There's just all of them are a little bit. They just have holes in the resume, right? So I mean, you're taking a risk with any of those guys, but if you got a class like that and you can take 2 swings at it, that's probably better.
All right. So if I'm the Titans GM, and what I've seen out of you guys really need a signal caller on defense, man. Y'all need a linebacker. Do you agree or disagree?
I agree. They thought the guy was Rashaan Evans, right? They took him in the first round a few years ago. I don't think they're going to pick up his fifth year option. He hasn't been very good here, frankly. He's good in certain situations, like goal line short yardage. He's really good. Like he's good when he doesn't have to think about his coverage responsibilities. He can just go find the football and get it. That's fine. He's good moving forward like that. But when you ask him to drop back, he just has no feel for coverage. It's something they didn't ask him to do a lot at Bama, and it's just shown up. I think Jayon Brown's a pretty good coverage backer, and David Long's a young guy that I think has some potential. But you're right, they don't have like that lead dog in the middle of the defense that really they can build around. And people have talked about what do they do? Because Rashaan Evans will be a free agent after this year. Jayon Brown will be a free agent after this year. So they don't have anybody that's going to be a guarantee moving forward. So do you go ahead and if there is a guy like Zaven Collins who could do a little bit on the edge and play a little bit inside, does that make sense for them to kind of have?
I was thinking of this guy. I was thinking of for you guys. I'm thinking of Nick Bolton or Jermaine Davis. Those two guys right there. Jeremiah Owusu probably a good one for you guys too. But I don't think he'd be available by the time y'all pick.
He would be interesting, yeah, because I mean, you can play him as like almost a big slot corner too, because he's so fast and he's got the coverage skills and everything like that. He's a guy that could be really interesting, and they really value versatility here with the Titans, especially on defense. So a guy like JOK would be interesting. But yeah, Bolton's a guy that I like as kind of that general in the middle. Like he's a thumper. He can cover well enough, but he is a enforcer in the middle of the defense. He's going to be all over the field making plays. So yeah, I think that would make some sense, and I think cornerback also makes some sense for them.
I was going to say safety. Y'all need a safety. Bad.
Well, Kevin Byard, I think Kevin Byard's still a good player. He had a little bit of a down year last year, and they got rid of Kenny Vaccaro, who I think had started to lose a step last season and just kind of wasn't what they needed in there. And they've got a young guy in Amani Hooker that I like a lot, 4th round pick a couple years ago, who has played – he's played a good amount of snaps in the past 2 years, just as kind of their third safety. They run a good bit of like 3 safety looks in Tennessee. And so Hooker is the guy that they expect to kind of step into that starting role. And it'll be interesting to see kind of how he does in an expanded role. But yeah, they really could use almost anything, because anytime you have a bottom 5 defense, there's nothing that's great on that side of the ball at that point. You got to fix it all. Yeah. So I think you go get the best guy that's out there.
Yeah, and by the time y'all pick this guy, that's why I said safety, Trevor Mooring, I think he'd be good for you guys' system or what y'all trying to do there in Tennessee. So, him or, Horn and Surtain, I know you talked about corners. Those guys ain't going to be available by the time y'all pick unless y'all try to trade up and, or trade down and try to get them. The only people I can think of would be good at the time y'all pick would be Caleb Farley, Gregory Newsome, or Stokes. Stokes would be good too, because I know y'all known for drafting Georgia players as well. So
well, the last one didn't work out too good, so we might see if they go back to that well. But they Newsome and Farley are 2 guys that they're definitely, I think, have an eye on. Farley's one of the most interesting guys in the whole draft to me, because like the back issue, that scares you, because the Titans frankly can't afford to just whiff on a 1st round pick again after the Isaiah Wilson deal last year. So if Farley's sitting there, to me, if he was healthy and there were no red flags on that end, he's probably a top 10-ish pick. So you could be getting a value by sitting there and picking him. And if his back medical, the scans of the surgery that he had on that disc look good, maybe you get a steal at 22. So it'll be interesting to see what they do there, because they definitely need some help at corner. They got Janoris Jenkins who's still playing good football. But he's 32 years old. He's a short-term solution there. And then they have their 2nd round pick last year, Christian Fulton, who didn't play a ton simply because of injuries last year. And I think Fulton's going to be great. I think he was the guy I wanted them to pick in the 1st round last year, and they ended up getting him in the 2nd. So I'm a big Fulton guy. We'll see what happens with him. He's the guy that I almost think is the most important dude on the whole defense this year, because when they released both Malcolm Butler and Adoree Jackson, that told me they're betting big on Fulton being a starter and a good starter for them. So if he turns out to be that, the defense could look a lot better this year. If he struggles, it's going to be tough because they just don't have anybody else at that corner spot right now outside of Jenkins.
Yeah, I agree. And Wallace said we still are going to have to restructure another player or two so we can pay for the ninth draft picks that we already have. I'm calling it now, Wallace. I really feel like we're gonna give Grady Jarrett an extension. That's gonna open up more money. Give him an extension, and you can be able to pay some of these players. So, and then more money is gonna come off the books too after June 1st. So I think we're gonna be getting somewhere between. I don't know. I'm not going to give you a number right now because I don't want to be wrong. I don't want y'all to quote me on that. But we're going to be getting more money after June 1st. So, but I agree with you with those picks. So we're gonna go ahead and start our mock draft real quick. So get everything set up for this. All right. So here's our mock draft to the page. So we know Jacksonville is going to pick Trevor Lawrence as usual. Trey Lance goes third. Zach Wilson goes third. Wow. Did nobody want to trade with me?
Uh-oh.
So and the fourth overall pick, which one is going to be Fields, Sewell, or Pitts?
And I'd have to go Pitts.
I'm going
that's
Pitts.
my guy.
I'm just messing with my view. I'm going Pitts.
I
was gonna call for a trade, but I'm like, I don't feel like doing that. I just picked, keep it rolling. All right. The Ravens is calling for your 22nd pick. And they're willing to trade their first round pick and then their fifth round pick. Pretty much no value in that.
Yeah, no, I'm not doing that one.
On that. Defending Super Bowl champions, they want your pick and they're willing to give their third, fifth, and the first for next year.
No, I'm out on that.
And the Eagles, they want to give up their second, third, and sixth round pick for your first round pick.
I'm not moving that far back.
Yeah, that's weird. So, all right. Ooh, you got Owusu, Jeremiah Owusu still on the board.
Yeah. See, I guess the top corner, yeah, even Greg Newsome's gone there. So
you got Caleb Ferry there as well. Eric Stokes from Georgia.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to go Owusu Koramoah.
All right.
I gotta go with him. He's too talented to pass up there.
No, I'm good. No, I'm good. I am going to pick Zaven Collins because I need a pass rusher real bad.
Mm-hmm. I like it. Yeah, he's an interesting dude. The way they used him at Tulsa was kind of crazy for his body type.
Yeah, he's big and like you can like he look like he's supposed to be having his hands in the dirt, but he doesn't. Yeah. So, all right, they want to trade their second and fifth for just your second.
No, I'm good.
All right. Ooh, Wyatt Davis on the board. Dang.
What we got?
What position? Your needs? You need a cornerback. You need a receiver. You need a tackle, a safety, a tight end, edge.
Yeah.
Receiver.
What are we looking at corner and wide receiver?
Corners. Let's see what you got. Aaron Robinson for UCF. Elijah Molden for Washington. You got Milanofu for Syracuse, Tyson Campbell for Georgia, Sean Wade from Ohio State. Your receivers, you got Moore from Purdue, Amari Rogers for Clemson, Brown for Carolina, Nico Collins for Michigan.
Oh, let's see. What do we got? What do we have at tight end? Any of the tight ends out there?
You got Tommy Tremble for Notre Dame, Hunter Long. He's been getting a lot of buzz right now. Hunter Long.
Yeah. And I love Trimble, but I don't know if I could take him in the second necessarily.
That's Hunter Long. They probably still be on the board in the third round.
Yeah. Let's go. Let's go back to cornerbacks. And I'm going to go Melon Fonwu.
Oh, man, I wanted him.
I like that guy. I like those big, long corners that can play some press man.
Yeah. No, I don't. I know who I'm picking next. Third round. This is the next pick I'm picking is somebody who's going to help my defensive line. The players around him, they're going to get. That guy's going to be none other than Tyler Shelvin for LSU.
Oh, yeah. That dude's a load.
Want to trade your pick away?
No.
Get back. Yeah. That sounds like a good pick. You only giving up your fifth round, then you giving up a pick for next year.
Yeah. Let's go and take it. We'll mix it up a little bit.
You're getting 2/3, so all right. You say you need a receiver, a tight end, and you got a corner already, so go back to the receiver. You got Nico Collins. Collins, I watch a lot of Michigan. I'm a big Michigan fan, and Collins, he can be a serviceable receiver, but he's not going to be like a huge playmaker like people want him to be.
Yeah, the guy, I like Tylan Wallace a good bit.
Mm-hmm.
But I also think Amon-Ra St. Brown's a guy that would fit a lot of what the Titans want to do. Like, he's a big physical dude.
You can't go wrong with any receiver from USC. I'm gonna be honest with you on that. That's like they're like the top 3 schools as far as receivers. Bama to me is number one. Like, was always pulling out receivers.
Yeah. I'm gonna go Amon-Ra with this pick.
Okay.
Go ahead and get my receiver locked down. I'm gonna stick. What am I trading us? Just a 7th?
Yep.
Yeah, I'll do that one.
Ain't bad. And then
what do we got at? Is Trimble still there?
For what, tight end?
Tight end, yeah. Oh, he's gone.
Gone.
All right. Let's look. What's Edge looking like? Oh, I'll take
Basham from Wake Forest.
Yeah, I'll take Boogie Basham.
Yeah. I'll say if not him, Peyton Turner was a good one too.
I like him too. Yeah, I like him. I like Jordan Smith from UAB too.
Mm-hmm.
I gotta go Basham.
Basham. You can't pass up on him.
I'm sure. Why not? Let's be aggressive here.
Might as well. I wish I was getting offers. I ain't getting
let's see. I've already got my linebacker. I got corner. I got an edge rusher. I got. Let's look at tackle. Who's out there for tackle?
Ooh. Jackson Carman, Spencer Brown. Ooh, Spencer Brown.
Yeah, that's a nice one. What about interior offensive line?
Josh Myers from Ohio State, Trey Smith from Tennessee, Ben Cleveland. Ooh,
You love Ben
those are
Cleveland.
good. Deontay Brown.
Yeah, I'm gonna go Ben Cleveland here.
Yeah, man, he's a workhorse.
He is. The Titans they've got some good dudes in the interior of the offensive line right now, but they're getting older. Um,
I'm going to accept.
Rogers.
What you say
You're gonna
now?
take that.
Yeah,
I was gonna say Roger Saffold is 33. He still plays at a really high level, but they need to start looking at lining up his replacement.
mm-hmm. I need an interior lineman too, so I'm going to pick Deontay Brown.
Mahler.
Yeah, I need to sew up that left guard spot.
Yeah.
And then we just lost Alex Smith at center. Not
Yeah.
Alex Smith. Alex Mack at center
Yeah.
too. Yeah.
Yeah, that's gonna be interesting on kind of how you guys go about replacing him.
Yeah. We got Matt Hennessy. He
Oh, yeah,
played well.
yeah.
He played well for the most part, but you never know. All right. So looking back at how the draft went, I picked Kyle Pitts in the first round. The Titans picked Jeremiah Wusu. Second round, I picked Xavier Collins, and you picked Manafalu from Syracuse. And third round, I picked Tyler Shelvin and Deontay Brown. You tripped over 3 picks. You got Amon Ra from USC, Carlos Basham, Wake Forest, and Ben Cleveland. So we didn't really do that bad with the
I
mock.
like it. I would have loved to have one of the top corners if they'd been there. But I just don't see any way any of the corners at 22 are going to sit there. But you can't be too mad at JOK falling in your lap either, though.
Mm-hmm.
He'd make a big difference in this defense.
Exactly. So, all right. So, but hey, that's pretty much it. But so what do you expect? If the draft go the way you think it should go, what do you expect for the Titans to do this upcoming season?
I think the expectation should be they win the AFC South again. The Texans, I mean, the whole deal with Deshaun Watson, whatever's going to happen with him,
The coaching staff and then they cap space, like
yeah.
they it's a huge mess down there. So I don't really doing anything. The coach right now, yeah, they got
Wentz,
but at the same time, like
I'm not a Wentz guy, so
yeah.
I'm not,
he's reunited with a play caller from 2017. Right. He almost had an MVP season, so you never know what could happen. But it all depends on what Wentz and can he stay healthy the whole season.
Right. Yeah, and I mean the Colts, their defense and their run game are going to be good enough to keep them competitive. But I just don't know. I don't think they're better than the Titans. They weren't better than the Titans last year, and Phillip Rivers played pretty well for them last year. So unless Wentz just really goes all the way back to his MVP kind of level, I don't see how they're going to be better than the Titans on paper, at least. If they stay healthy, I think the Titans should win 11, 12 games, win the division, and see what they can do in the playoffs. I mean, ideally, if the defense is improved and at least kind of middle of the pack, maybe even slightly above average, and they don't lose too much on the offense, I think they should be an AFC contender again. So that's kind of where I'm at. What about you for the Falcons? What's your expectation level there?
We're gonna win more than 4 games. I can tell you that.
Yeah, I believe.
It all depends on how this draft go, man. Like if we can trade down and just trade back and get more picks and fix this defense. And Dean Pease has never gave any of his teams a below average defense, and we can just be average for like a Matt Ryan run offense. I think we should be fine. Are we gonna win the NFC South? I don't know. You gotta think about it. You still had the defending champions, the Buccaneers. They still got all their players, they got all their coaching staff. They ain't going nowhere. Yeah, we know the Saints lost Breeze, but they still, have Sean Payton there. You got to give the man respect. He's one of the best play callers in the league.
Yeah.
And then you have the Panthers, who just got Sam Darnold, and they still have the what's the coach, offense coordinator there?
Joe Brady.
Brady, yeah, they still got Joe Brady still there as well. So um, more likely he'll have his guy who he thinks that can run his system. So and the Panthers had a good draft last year. They
Yeah.
did.
Yeah.
I know that the record didn't show it, but progress.
Yeah. They got some
Um,
depth.
mhm.
The Panthers, yeah, if they could get the quarterback situation right, they could be pretty good pretty quick, I think. But I'm not convinced at all that Sam Darnold's the guy.
I'm not either. But the thing about the Panthers is they have their eyes set for who they want in the draft. This is why they didn't trade with any teams to try to get in the top 5, because they knew we weren't gonna trade with them.
Yeah. Yeah.
We weren't gonna trade with them. They weren't going to get the top 4, top 5 pick. So
Right.
their best bet was to get Darnold, and they didn't really lose that much to get Darnold.
That's
So
true.
if Arnold, they probably give it a year or two, as far as experiment goes, and if he doesn't perform well, they got the future to draft, and then you still got Teddy Bridgewater still there as well. So
Yeah.
but back to the Falcons, it all depends on how we operate. I know our offense is going to be way better, just by Arthur Smith just walking into the facility. It's just all going to be contingent on what the defense is going to do and how we play in the games. Looking at our schedule is not a cakewalk either. So, like I said, we should win more than 4 games, but I'll be shocked if we win the division or would get a wild card spot out of it. So I
Yeah.
hope we can. I hope so. Because we haven't made the playoffs since 2017.
That's
But
crazy.
yeah, it is. It is just looking at like I said, just looking at the talent that we have on this team. But you look at that defense, and who can you really name outside of Grady Jarrett and Deion
Yeah.
Jones?
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. And I feel like y'all have struggled to stay healthy on that side of the ball, pretty consistently over the last few years too. So maybe the luck finally breaks your way on that side though. And I mean, I think Pease will help. Pease got, clearly got a lot more out of the Titans' talent than they got out of it last year. So I think your coaching staff is good. I think it'll help put you guys in a position to succeed. And I bet the offense bounces back big time. I think it'll be fun to watch the Falcons offense this year.
Yeah, I love the coaching staff. I like how they constructed it, especially on the defensive side of the ball. You got Pease, and then you got a lot of other coaches like Hoke, um, Perry. Those guys have experience, who are proven guys who know how to develop talent.
Mm-hmm.
I like that. Offense side of the ball, you got Smith, but you also got former quarterbacks like Ragone and TJ Yates, who played the game, who also been, where they was coaching at, they had some success and scheme wise. And this is why I like the Ragone hire, because Ragone, he game planned well with the Bears. Even though the Bears offense wasn't that good because of the quarterback they had, but at the same time, I feel like the game plan they had, it worked well. I know a lot of people a lot of Falcons fans, why are we getting Ragone? Mr. Trubisky trash. And I'm like, well, Mr. Trubisky, he did beat us in week 3. So
True.
can't really complain on that. But when I watched the game, you can tell the play calling they had made sense.
Mm-hmm.
So
Yeah. Yeah. And yeah, I think, Arthur Smith is obviously going to steer that thing anyways. And he's going to call his own plays and all that stuff too. So, and by the way, if you haven't listened to, Arthur Smith went on the podcast Bussing with the Boys with Taylor Lewan, the Titans left tackle, and Will Compton. If you haven't listened to that yet, you should definitely check it out. It's a fun conversation, and you can tell how well liked Arthur Smith is by his players and everything just by listening to the way these guys chop it up on the pod. So that's a good recommendation for anybody out there Falcons fans that want to get to know Arthur Smith a little bit better.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Another kid, Miller's not here anymore. We cut him during the last part of the season last year. So it's just pretty much Jalen Hawkins is our safety right now. We got to figure out who we're gonna draft as the replacement for either Rico or Keanu Neal. So, but yeah. But once again, man, hey, thank you for coming on, man. Once again, let everybody know who you are, where they can find you.
Yeah. Mike Herndon at Mike Miracles on Twitter. Our website, BroadwaySportsMedia.com. We cover everything Nashville pro sports related. So if you want to go there and check it out, you can go in and search in the search bar for stuff about Arthur Smith and Dean Pease, even kind of going back in our archives. We got a lot of good stuff in there. And then my podcast, Football and Other F Words, at F Words Pod on Twitter. We chop up mostly Titans talk, but we get into some general NFL stuff too. So check it out.
All right. Thank you for coming on, man. Appreciate it.
I appreciate you having me.
All right. Everybody who watching live, appreciate y'all joining me this afternoon. I know some of y'all stepped away from work or school or whatever to listen. Appreciate y'all. If you're watching this at a later time, let us know in the comment section what you think about the draft. If you're a Falcons fan, Titans fan, whatever fan that you are, just let us know. Thank you, Atlanta Kid, man. Appreciate you, man. If you're new to the channel, you already know what to do. Hit that subscribe button, hit that like button, share this content out with Atlanta Sports Fanatics, and hit us up in the comment section. As always, come holler at your hometown sports podcast. We will be back this evening at 8:30 to cover the Michigan pass rusher Kwity Paye. I will be decked out in my maize and blue because y'all know I'm a big Michigan fan. So I'm here for that tonight. So we'll be back tonight for that. On that note, this is another episode of the Don's Favor. It's your boy the Don. Y'all have a great evening, afternoon. I'll see y'all later tonight at 8:30. Peace.